A while back, I responded to a video by Fiction Rumble where he talked about his disappointment with Disney's live-action remakes. And in that video, I argued back by bringing up things like toxic work environments and creator competency. Looking back, however, that argument was pretty weak. Not because exploitation isn't real, it absolutely is, but because it didn't actually explain why these projects keep falling short in the same way. After consuming more media, and after looking deeper into behind-the-scene production realities, I think I finally landed on the real issue. And it's not greed, it's not laziness, it's time. There's a phrase people love to throw around when a movie, show, anime, or game disappoints them. Only made for money, soulless, just slop. But here's the thing. Everything released to the public is made to make money. That alone explains nothing. What actually matters is how the production is structured. To make anything of quality, you need 4 things: skilled people, enough manpower, proper tools, and time. Most modern projects still have the first 3. Time is the one that keeps getting stripped away. No amount of talent can overcome impossible schedules. A writer can't fix a broken script if rewrites come a week before filming. Animators can't polish shots when the deadlines was set by someone who doesn't animate. VFX artists can't just make it better when the render time alone exceeds the delivery date. When something feels unfinished, you're not watching incompetence, you're watching compressed labor. Take Michael Bay's Transformers movies, for example. They're often dismissed as mindless explosions, but the reality is far more complicated. These films had insane production demands, massive VFX pipelines, studio mandates that keep changing, release dates that couldn't move. And even then, you can see the ambitions. Clear visual language, a mix of practical effects and CGI, and actual narrative through lines even if they're messy. These movies weren't careless, they were overloaded. When spectacle becomes the selling point, time is the first thing sacrificed and story is the second. Disney's live-action remakes make the problem even clearer. The issue isn't adaptation itself, it's creative conservatism combined with aggressive deadlines. Instead of asking what makes this story resonate, the process becomes how do we recreate this safely, quickly, and profitably. So you get movies that are visually impressive, technically competent, emotionally hollow. Not because nobody cared, but because nobody was allowed to experiment. Time isn't just for polish, time is for risk. Now, looking at low-budget horror movies made the moment a copyright expires, these are usually written off as cynical cash grabs. And honestly, that criticism isn't unfair. But even here, the deeper issue isn't just money. These films are rushed into existence to beat the market, not to explore ideas. That's why something like The Mean One stands out. It had a clear creative angle, a manageable scope, and enough time to commit to the concept. That's the exception and not the rule. Now there's some examples people will bring up as a counterpoint to everything I said. Studios like Video Brinquero or mockbuster studios like The Asylum. These are companies that openly rush products to market, often the moment a familiar IP trends or copyright expires. At first glance, it looks like it completely disproves my argument, because here, the lack of time isn't an accident, it's a business model. Now, I've actually watched a Video Brinquero movie, Little Cars in the Great Race. And yeah, it's frustrating, it's cheap, it's derivative, but there is a story there. It's cliched, it's unoriginal, but it's coherent. There's a structure, there's intent, which means this isn't proof that time doesn't matter. It's proof of what happens when creators intentionally minimize their ambitions to survive an industry that rewards speed over craft. This actually brings us back to Michael Bay. Bay isn't incapable of telling a good story. What he does instead is scale his storytelling to survive the production machine he works in. Video Brinquero does the same thing, just at the lowest possible budget. They don't fail because they don't understand storytelling. They fail because the industry encourages rushing as a viable strategy. The Asylum is another proof of the example. Every now and then you can see a spark, a strange idea, a creative twist, something like fairy tale grim that could have been interesting. But those ideas never get oxygen, because rewriting them takes time, refinement takes time, letting ideas breathe takes time, and the mockbuster model kills all three. So no, studios like these don't disprove my argument, they confirm it. Creativity isn't absent, it's starved. Now someone might ask why I haven't touched on video games yet. So let's address the elephant in the room, because there is a case that looks like it could disprove my argument. David Cage. Cage is the game developer of Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls, and Detroit Become Human. And unlike most of the examples I've talked about so far, his work usually isn't crippled by impossible deadlines. These games aren't rushed, they're polished, they have time, and yet they still don't work, which tells us something important. David Cage's problem isn't a lack of time, it's ego. He has interesting ideas, moral choice, humanity, identity, but those ideas are buried under his belief that he is the one who needs to mature video games. As if mature games didn't already exist. As if the medium hasn't been tackling complex themes for decades. Cage isn't pushing games forward, he's taking down the media. Cage is closer to creators who simply are in over their heads. His works feels less like Telltale's at its best and more like the worst version of Life is Strange. A game where I can at least understand what they're trying to say, even if it stumbles. With Cage, the ambition collapses under its own weight. Characters speak like mouthpieces. Themes are hammered in instead of explored. Player choice is often an illusion. This isn't a time issue, it's a self-awareness issue. So yeah, David Cage does disprove something. His ability to write good stories. If you want the most brutal evidence that time matters more than passion, look at anime. One Punch Man Season 3, Jujutsu Kaisen, Chainsaw Man. All massively popular, all made by insanely talented people, all produced under inhumane schedules. Animators talk about crunch, burnout, sleeping in studios, shots being finished hours before airing. When animation quality dips or pacing collapses, that's not artistic failure. That's industrial collapse. The anime industry doesn't lack talent, it lacks humane timelines. So yeah, if I were to remake my original response video today, I wouldn't argue competency, I'd argue conditions. Because most of these projects aren't failures of imagination, they're failures of process. When time is treated like expendable, quality becomes optional. And until we stop blaming creators for a system designed to rush them, we're going to keep watching good ideas die halfway to completion, and calling them made for money instead of what they really are. Anyways, that'll do it for today. Hope you liked this video. And hey, if Rumble watches, I hope this argument was better than the last one. I'll see you all later, and remember, I'm an otaku. I'm not your senpai.